Hello, welcome to Newscentre with me, Parikshit Luthra. Indian nationals looking to travel to the US have been staring at long waiting periods for their visas. IT professionals on H-1B have not been able to return home because they're not getting appointments for visa stamping for at least 12 to 15 months. The US Embassy says they have been able to bring down wait times for Dropbox cases where interviews are not needed to 9 months. And the Embassy will be able to bring down appointment periods even further after June-July 2023. So why is the visa process so delayed? And what are the current wait times? I caught up with Don Heflin, Minister Counselor for Consular Affairs at the US Embassy, and began by asking him about what category of visas are a priority at this point.
Our priorities are student visas, both Dropbox and first-timers. H&L work visas, these are usually for IT professionals, other STEM professionals, both Dropbox and first-timers. Then the B1, B2 Dropboxes, and finally the B1, B2 first-timers.
Let me begin by talking to you about the B1, B2 category. What is the current waiting period?
Well, it's about 2 years and 7 months for people who have not had visas before. We're not very happy about that. We are working on it. It's going to take us some time to attack it, I think. It's shorter time, about 9 months now for B1, B2 Dropbox cases. People who have had B1, 2 visas before and want to go again.
Right. If we speak about the H-1B category, that is the skilled professionals in the IT sector, in the STEM sector, and also J visas for officials who are moving between companies, what is the current waiting period?
The wait time for H and L visas, the L visas are the company transferees and the H's are the tech workers usually. It's about 9-10 months now for both walk-ins and Dropbox cases. We've gotten those wait times down. Our top priorities along with students are the H&L Dropbox cases. We have a lot of sympathy for this group. These are people who have been working in the U.S. They've been trying to schedule an appointment ever since COVID ended to come home see their families. If they could just get an appointment, they could build a family vacation around it.
Right.
For a long time, they couldn't even get an appointment. Now they can. We have 128,000 people in the queue for H&L Dropbox cases. But there are available appointments. In fact, there are 26,000 available appointments, roughly 11 or 12 months from now. So we'd like to get that time shorter, and we will. You'll see that time shorten up between now and next 6 to 8 months. Because we do have a lot of sympathy for that group. They've gone through a tough time.
In terms of student visas, the last update that we received from the embassy was that they have managed to clear 82,000 student visa applications. What is the current number, and would these be primarily Dropbox cases?
No, they're mostly interview cases. If you go by the embassy, particularly during June, July, and August, you'll see quite a queue out front. We did 82,000 issuances this summer. And in fact, over the course of the year that just ended October 1st, we did about 127,000 issuances of visas. So this has been a real success story for us. Part of the reason is you can't really be in a queue when you're a student. You're not allowed to apply early, you're not allowed to apply late. So we have 3 seasons. Right now we're booking appointments for the season for people who wish to go and start studying in January. This spring we'll have a small season for people who wish to go for visits during the American school summer, June, July, August. Typically there's some short programs such as that. And then the summertime is our big time where we try to get people ready for the traditional September start date, late August, early September start date. We've built in this winter and then again next summer about a 10% growth rate compared to the previous year, which we hope is enough.
I would also like to ask you about why these long waiting periods exist right now. Of course, during the pandemic, the visa process was not taking place. The staff was also curtailed. Give a sense of some of the problems because of which we're seeing these long waiting periods right now.
And it was a worldwide problem. People tend to forget that. But if you think back to spring, summer 2020, things were bad. This country went through a pretty hard shutdown of a few months. Just like any big business, we weren't able to train people, onboard them, move them around. Unlike business, government's slower than business at hiring or rehiring people. And demand came back a lot quicker than the experts thought it would. So we're trying to play catch up now. At one time we were down to below 50% of our normal number of visa vice consuls who do the interviewing. Now we're on about 75%. And by June, July, we'll be on 100% staffing, back to our pre-COVID level. So once we have that back, it'll be very easy for us to take in and process the amount of cases that we usually do in a month, just like we did in 2018, 2019. The problem will be you don't need to do just that. You need to attack the wait times also. So that's where we're getting a lot of help from Washington. They're sending out temporary vice consuls, and they also have worked on some very innovative technology answers where we can take the Dropbox cases and send them to Washington or to another embassy somewhere, and they can process those for us, which frees us up to do more of the top priority cases. That's where you're starting to see the wait times come down, is we're getting extra help out there.
Right. I'd especially like to ask you about H-1B workers, the IT professionals. Many of them have been stuck in the United States, and these are cases where people have not been able to come back to India because they have to get their visa stamped and they've not got an appointment. How are you addressing those cases? Are there some special categories within them that you are considering for early appointments, or how would you try and process them faster?
What we're trying to do, when we dropped 100,000 appointments on the market a couple of months ago, that really helped. It really cut the wait time down in this category, and you could finally see a period out in the future where you could get an appointment.
Have they exhausted all of them?
No, we have 26,000 open right now if people want to go book them. They're 10 or 11 months from now, but they're there. So we're attacking this in two ways. The first is that we are sending cases off outside of India to be handled in the B1, B2 Dropbox category, which frees up time for us to do more of the H&L worker visa Dropboxes. And then what we eventually hope to do is to have H&L Dropbox cases also processed outside of India. And then we will be able to do more here, and then eventually turn to the H&L first-timers. Now, the customer, the applicant, will never know where their case is actually being handled. They'll go to the same place to do their application. They'll receive their passport in the post as always. It's just moving electronically. It's very innovative.
Right. So, from what we understand, in the Dropbox case for H-1B and the L category, the current wait time is around 9 months.
That's about right.
How much would this come down to in the next couple of months?
I would like between now and the end of May to get it down to at least a 4 or 5 month time. If you go back before COVID in the summertime, we often had 4 or 5 month delays. And people were able to work around that. I think that's reasonable. I think people can start building a family vacation. Eventually, we'd like to get it down to 3 months and hold it there.
Right. If we were to ask you about your pre-COVID processing capacity, by when would you be able to reach that?
We will, particularly with the aid of people outside of India, we will hit that capacity about June or July. We'll be able to do 100,000 applications a month.
Right. And these would be across categories?
Across categories.
But primarily Dropbox, not the interview categories?
Primarily Dropbox. By about that time, we'll have made our way to the H&L first-time interviews. And also, we always do a lot of student interviews.
Right. So, can we say that the U.S. Embassy would start addressing first-time H-1B applicants and B1, B2 applicants after June or July of next year?
I think we'll start addressing first-time H&L applicants before June or July. About that time, what we'll be able to do is to stop the wait time in the B1, B2 first-time applicants from growing any further. Then we'll have to strategize with Washington how we reduce the wait time in that period, in that category.
If we were to ask you a backlog, what would be the current backlog of visas in the H-1B Dropbox category and also first-time applicants?
I only came here with the Dropbox categories. I thought you might ask me about that. There are currently 128,000 people who have confirmed appointments out into the future, and then 26,000 open slots. I believe the H&L first-time applicants is a considerably smaller group of people.
What about B1, B2?
It's quite large.
Okay.
Several 100,000 people.
Right. Just now, to sum up your final projections, how many visas do you think the U.S. Embassy would clear this year in the year 2022, and what would be your projections for next year?
I think by the time this calendar year 2022 is finished, we will have done well over 800,000 visa applications. I think in calendar year 2023, particularly if we continue to receive outside help on the Dropbox cases, will be between 1 million, 1.1 million.
All right, so that was Don Heflin, U.S. Embassy's Minister Counselor for Consular Affairs, talking about the long waiting periods and what the embassy doing to shorten them. So hopefully by June, July next year, things would be better when it comes to H-1B visa holders wanting to come back to India, and even first-time applicants of H-1B and B-1, B-2 visas. We're going to take a short break, but coming up on the other side, the Australian Parliament has approved the India-Australia Economic Cooperation and Trade Agreement. On the other side, we speak to Barry O'Farrell, Australian High Commissioner to India.
नई वॉशिंग मशीन